Hello everyone. Today I'm going to upgrade my OS disk from 120 GB to 1 TB because I have run out of space. And my old hard disk is an SSD SATA, and I'm going to upgrade to SSD based on NVMe. So it should be much faster. The step that I'm going to do is following this. First, make sure that you check the compatibility if you upgrade to an NVMe. Make sure that it is compatible with your motherboard. Previously, I tried to install Gen 4 NVMe, and apparently because my motherboard is a slightly older one and only support Gen 3, although on many resources internet I checked that it is compatible, but apparently it is not. So hopefully now I've changed into the Gen 3 SSD NVMe, then it should work. And the next step is to install the new disk by putting it into M2 slot, and then clone the OS. To clone the OS, I use this software called Macrium Reflect, which I'm going to show later. And after that, change the boot order and then verify. In between of these, of course, we will do shut down the computer and restart it. Right, let me show the current situation. So this is my SATA SSD is so small and run out of space. This is only used for OS, but even for OS it's no longer enough because Windows keep accumulating files. And the other one is just normal HDD drive for me to store all my data. Right now I'm going to shut down my computer and begin the step to install the new disk. This is the new NVMe SSD that I'm going to use to replace the old SATA SSD. So this is a 1 TB, and this is a Gen 3, so it's not the latest version, but it's good enough to have a upgrade from my previous SSD. So this has up to 3300 megabyte per second. This is the M2 slot where I'm going to put the new SSD into. I have previously taken this off. Now I'm going to put this in. It can only be put into one orientation, so make sure that this is fit to the slot. First we put into 30-degree angle. Then put the heatsink. Now that I have installed the NVMe SSD, I open the disk management and it come up with this prompt to initialize the disk before Windows can access it. And as you can see, my disk is still the old ones. So what I'm going to do is just click on this initialize disk. Okay, now that's what I need to do at this step. The next thing is I'm going to open the cloning tool, which is Macrium Reflect. Now I'm opening Macrium Reflect. This is my new disk, and this is my OS disk that contains 4 partitions. So I'm selecting this. I'm select this disk and then choose clone this disk, and then select a disk to clone to. Be careful on selecting this. Make sure you are selecting the right disk. So I choose this new SSD. Okay, there is an empty space here, so I need to erase this. Okay, and now I'm going to copy all the partitions from my OS disk into this SSD, new SSD. And I'm going to shrink or extend to fill the target disk because my target disk is larger. Okay, now this shows us that for example, this primary partition NTFS has consumed 102 and then have 930 gigabyte left. So that's good. Then I'm going to click on next. I'm going to do it immediately, so I just click on next. This gives the summary. This is the source disk. It tells the brand, like this is my SATA SSD Kingston and this is my NVMe SSD, which is Lexar. Okay, so now I'm going to click finish. It calls it as a backup. I just select run this backup now. I don't want to save this definition file because I'm just doing it once. The cloning is started now. It took 27 minutes to finish the cloning, and let's see that now I've got this new disk here, so it's recognized, and now time to restart. But when the computer boot up, we'll go to the BIOS and change the boot order so that the new disk is the operating system. Okay. Now I'm going to restart the PC and change the boot order. Okay, now, well, this already automatically changed the boot priority apparently. So this is my NVMe SSD, the 1 terabyte, and this is my previous OS drive. So nothing to change here, then I'll just exit. So this is after reboot, where on this particular motherboard apparently I didn't need to change the boot order. It automatically detects that there is a new NVMe SSD and it takes it as the boot drive. And now, as you can see, my C drive has plenty of space, so that means it is successful and all good. Now I have just turned off the PC and removed the original OS disk to test that the new NVMe SSD disk is working as the operating system disk, and it does. As we can see here, the E drive that last time was showing as the original OS disk is not visible here, and the Windows boot up just fine. Now I'm going to show how we can compare the speed of 3 types of disk technology. This one is the old hard disk drive with the spinning platter, and this one is the SATA SSD, and this one is NVMe SSD. So I'm going to use this command tool called Winsat to perform the comparison. So let's first check with start with the HDD technology. Okay, so this random read is 1.61 megabyte per second, sequential read 210 megabyte per second, and sequential write is 75 megabyte per second. And let's compare it with the SATA SSD. Right, this random read on the SATA SSD is faster than HDD as we expect. And meanwhile, on the sequential read, the SATA SSD is turns out to be less than the old HDD, and the write is much faster, which is at 321 megabyte per second. And now let's compare with the NVMe Gen 3 on the C drive. Right, now we can see massive difference here. With the NVMe, the random read is 1.2 3100 megabyte per second, which is close to what is advertised, which is 3300 megabyte per second. And then sequential write is 2700 megabyte per second. I want to delete this old OS disk, and for that I'm going to use this diskpart, because if we use disk management, we cannot delete that, we cannot erase this partition. So for that I'm going to use diskpart. So this is the command. I'm going to run this as administrator. This is my old OS disk, which is the disk number 1. So I will select disk number 1 and then detail disk, and it tells me this is the Kingston SSD, type SATA, and this is the size, which is 120 gigabyte. Okay, and then I'm going to clean this. Okay, so as you can see now, I have this empty disk from my previous SATA SSD, and I have the new NVMe SSD as my OS drive with plenty of free space, and this is just simply my old HDD drive. One last step that I want to highlight is that if you keep your old disk into the computer and wipe out like the method that I shown earlier, you might come across an issue when you reboot the next time. That's because the motherboard has its own reference to the boot manager that still point to the old disk, and I experienced this, and that causing boot failure like the following. So because it is at the boot time, I cannot record it. So this is the screenshot. In this situation, I had to create an USB drive and use the Windows recovery toolkit, and then go through the advanced setting and open a command prompt, and then fix my boot manager to fix the boot entry. To avoid that, if you plan to use the old this in the same computer instead of unplug it, then you will need to do the following. So what you need to do is open command prompt as administrator, and then run this diskpart. We are entering a diskpart now, and then list vol to list the volume, and then identify a small FAT32 partition, which is this one. In this case is volume 3. Then run the next command is select volume 3, yeah, and then assign letter. So for example, as because this has no letter, the purpose is to use this on the next step, because I already fixed that during the recovery mode, so I'm not going to do that. So this is the thing that you need to do while the Windows is still open, so you don't have to go into recovery mode and needing USB drive. So I'm not assigning that, but I just go into exit, and then after that identify where the Windows is located, which drive. Please note that usually Windows is on a C drive, but during recovery mode, if you go into recovery mode and using USB drive to boot, then the Windows may not be in C drive. In my experience, it was the D drive, because during the boot time and recovery mode, the recovery tool is assigning the letter on the sequence where it scans, rather than what actually is established when Windows is already open. So just bear in mind on that. And then this is to the command to repeat the boot entry. And then once you click enter, then it should get the boot file successfully created. And by that, the boot entry from the motherboard correctly point to your new drive that contains the Windows. So I think that's all for this migration of OS disk from the old SATA SSD and into NVMe SSD. See you again next time. Thank you.